Welcome to the Strategic Management Accounting course, where we teach the value-adding steps and processes necessary to execute strategy. Whether you are just starting up or looking to grow your business, then this course is for you. With your host, Dr. Neil O'Connor.
Time is a competitive element, and the first part, value chain, all phases of the value chain, designing non-value added time appears to go hand in hand with increasing quality. Okay, so non-value added time. We learned that in second week. You know, process value analysis, cut, non-value added stuff. What about Volkswagen? They're aiming to reduce manufacturing time by 30% on the next Polo, but they're always trying to reduce. So here's a question for you. How long does it take to make a car? How long does it take? I want you all to write down a number now. You have 10 seconds to write down one of these numbers. Have you all done one? Okay, how many of you think it takes 15 hours to make a car? 18 hours. 24 hours. 36, 48, and 60 hours. Okay, the most efficient benchmark around the world at the moment is about 18 hours to make a car, right? Going all the way through, and that's where you iron out all the bottlenecks. Operational, so time as a competitive tool, this is when you set out and say, look, time is a promise. We're going to promise something to the customers in time. When you go to the trade show and we could have got that selfie pole, the next question would be, okay, all right, selfie pole, minimum order quantity, minimum order quantity, 1,000 units. How much? $6.67, right? So that's $6,670 US, right? For your 1,000 selfie poles. Next question is, how long can you deliver? How long does it take? All right, time. That's the next logical question. If you're buying something low price, next question is, how fast can you deliver? 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? You want to know that, and they need to be able to tell you that. All right, so time is real. That's what we mean by time as a driver of strategy. For companies to be able to make that promise, they need to synchronize their promises that they're making with their operations. All right? They need to know that their operations can meet the promises they are making to the customer. If they can't do that, then they shouldn't make the promise of time. All right? Don't promise time. Cut this out, and then you don't have to worry about the symbiotic relationship between operations and the customer. You can just focus on quality. You don't have to focus on time. You with me? Okay? But once you made a promise on time, then you've got to get the operations queued up for that. All right, back to here. Remember, the first half of the first part of the second half of chapter 19 looks at two types of time drivers, customer demand and production uncertainty, bottlenecks. So customers will never tell you when they're going to come and buy from you. They never tell you when you go to the bank, right? I went to the hospital once, private hospital. I'm sick. I go in there and I say, oh, we're going to have to upgrade you to the private room. Sorry, but my insurance company doesn't cover me for that private room. So, well, if you had have planned and told us a week ago, we could have booked the semi-private room for you. Well, I didn't know I was going to be sick in a week's time, did I? Right? All right. But this is the whole thing. Customers never tell you when they're going to come and buy something. They just turn up and they want it. You with me? All right. And on the other side, production uncertainty, bottlenecks. They are the two drivers. And so once you start making some promises on expectations, you need to have some measures to know that you can meet those promises. All right? So as we go across to here, we've got measures at the customer level And then you're trying to manage expectations. This is psychology. Big circle here, that's psychology. When we come down here, this is operational. Okay? This circle over here, managing expectations, is your circle here, the customer. Down here is operational. This is your operations down here. You see what I mean? All right? So if you mess this up, someone turns in sick, okay, well then you better post-manage the psychology here. Oh, we apologise, we have to apologise. It just, you know, someone turned in sick today and we're really short-staffed, and, you know, here's a meal ticket or something like that, you know, to tie you over, and, you know, please forgive us, and blah, blah, blah. You with me? You're managing the psychology. All right? You're not going to give the service any faster. You're just managing the psychology here. All right? So this is very big on psychology. Hopefully you get your operations running smoothly, perfectly, so you don't have to make apologies over here. All right? And then you take action. You either increase capacity, you outsource, or you do marketing. Increase capacity, what do we mean? You replace a poorly trained operations customer service officer with a highly trained one. So suddenly the highly trained one can serve a customer in 3 minutes. Oh, what would you like? Oh, can I have your card, please? Okay. Oh, and you sign this, please? Oh, thank you very much. There's your money. Go. Next. All right. And all with a smile. All right. Okay. Highly trained. All right. So that's what we mean by increasing capacity. It doesn't mean you need to have 2 operators. Maybe you need a highly trained one instead of a poorly trained one. All right. Next, outsource. You can outsource. You can actually, if you're a production house, they do this in mainland China all the time, sometimes without telling the customer. They will outsource. Okay? And that increases capacity immediately. It doesn't always guarantee you quality. You need to control that quality of the outsourcing. Finally, do marketing. This is managing expectations. All right? Marketing beforehand. Marketing at the start, making promises. But at the end, it's about apologising. Right? You with me? All right? You're always communicating somewhere. All right? So let's keep going. Customer response time, on-time performance. So let's have a look. These are operational measures of time, and these are non-financial measures. So if you have a question in the exam and it asks for examples of non-financial measures, then maybe time is a non-financial measure. Think of time, okay? All right? Think of efficiency ratios, non-financial measure. All right? Think of effectiveness ratios, non-financial measure. Okay? All right? So we've got all these measures. Now, customer response time, receipt time, manufacturing cycle time, delivery time. This is basically a lead time which most buyers ask when they go to a trade show. They say, oh, okay, I'm interested in this product. Can you give me a sample by Friday in 3 days' time? In my hotel? Yes or no? Okay, you don't ask, can you give me a sample? If you're visiting from overseas, you say, can you give me a sample in my hotel in Hong Kong by Friday? Okay, so you want a sample. Number 2, the time is Friday. Number 3, the location. So you're making 3 things very, very clear. You don't just say, oh, can you give me a sample? Oh, sure. Well, you didn't say when and you didn't say where. Okay? So it's all about communication, very, very clear expectations when you're negotiating with other parties. All right? So that's it. You're a customer. You need to be very clear so you can get clear promises made back to you. And then you might say, all right, I like this sample. Next step. Oh, how long will it take you to deliver 1,000? I like these selfies. How long to deliver? 1,000. Oh, where would you like that delivered? Oh, I'd like that delivered to, I'd like that FOB in the port in Shenzhen. Oh, we can do that in 12 days. Okay? So then you know it's going to be shipped to, by truck to the port to be put on the ship in 12 days' time. You with me? FOB, freight on board the ship. Okay? All right, and then you know it's going to be a couple of weeks to go down to Australia, several weeks to go across the US, or wherever you're going to ship that to. You build that in, okay? But what you want to know from the factory is how long to get it to FOB, all right? Because the factory can't control the ship. You with me? All right, but they can control, normally you buy FOB. You don't want to buy where you pick it up from the factory because you want the supplier to look after that part. All right, so there's a lot of things that you can break down in terms of time, but I'm just giving you some real examples about what questions you have to ask if you're buying from a factory in China. So, time driver, any factor in which change in the factor causes a change in the speed of activity. 2 time drivers, uncertainty about when customers will order. In other words, demand from the customer. And the other one is bottlenecks. What did I say? Bottlenecks. Bottlenecks in the activity that slow down an activity. Okay? This is supply, this is demand. Supply, demand, supply, demand. Bottlenecks affect your supply. All right? Demand uncertainty. HTC in the latter half of 2011 released a brand new smartphone called the Evo phone, and it was an immediate hit in the US, selling millions and millions and millions of copies. They were running out the shops like wildfire, and they ran out of stock because they had a bottleneck. Do you know what that bottleneck was? Do you know what the bottleneck was caused by? Yeah, they went back. No, the problem was that the bottleneck, they traced it back, like all the suppliers were providing components, they could manufacture as much as they can, but they had to stop production because they didn't have enough TFT modules that Samsung was making for the Evo phone, the touchscreen module. And they only had one supplier, Samsung. So what did they do? They went to Sony as a second supplier to immediately fulfill that bottleneck. And they were able to replenish, but then they lost opportunity. Opportunity cost, right? Because they didn't have stock. Customers walked out shops and went and bought competitors' stuff. You with me? That's opportunity cost. All right. Long story short, so I was talking to one of the managers of HTC about this, and I said, oh, so shouldn't you have had 2 suppliers? Was that the problem? They said, no, we got the forecast wrong. We got the demand forecast. We got this wrong. It wasn't that we managed our supply chain improperly. Okay? We severely underestimated how successful this product would be. And that's what management said. All right? Of course, all of these supply chain gurus around the world say, oh, you should have had 2 suppliers for at least for every component. You have more flexibility, right? But that's not always the case in practice, especially when you're on the leading edge of new consumer devices. All right? You're trying to make the biggest and the best and the latest. You can't always have the luxury of having more than one supplier. Sometimes only one supplier has that superior technology to make it for you. Okay? So there's a real story. We got the forecast wrong. We failed to forecast the real demand for our product. If we knew about that, maybe we would have told Samsung, look, make more for us. This is our demand. This is our promise. We're going to order from you. You with me? But it was too late for them to go back to Samsung because Samsung's probably already given capacity to other buyers. You with me? Okay? So there's a real story about uncertainty about when customers order products and services. Their biggest challenge, some of these smartphone manufacturers, is actually working out the sales forecast. If I can work out the sales forecast, I can run the supply chain like clockwork. That's what one manager told me. Let me repeat. If I can get the sales forecast right, I can run the supply chain like clockwork. What does that mean? If I know exactly how many customers are going to come into the bank every day, if I know how many customers are going to come in and order my product every day, if I know the demand day to day, week to week, month to month, quarter to quarter, then I can manage operations. I can make it super squeaky thin, you know, in terms of fat on the bone, all right, and make it super efficient. No additional people then that we don't need, we just don't hire them. You with me? No excess, super capacity to meet exactly demand, all right? That's the perfect world. But the real world is you can't always get the forecasts right. That's what we mean by uncertainty about when customers order products. Here, bottlenecks due to limited capacity. All right, let's look at our banking example. I love our banking example, don't you? So, how many of you have been to this bank? Do you know this bank? Yeah, the world's favourite bank for hiding funds. Yes. All right, we know all about that. So we have the counter is staffed by one teller. The counter is open for 5 hours, 300 minutes each day, and it takes 5 minutes to serve a customer service time. Have you seen this before? Did I talk about this? Have you seen this example before? Yes or no? Hands up if you've seen this example. Now you know what this was, right? Okay, so you're with me. All right. The branch expects to serve 40 customers a day, and so let's have a look at the big question. Note that number of customers corresponds to the number of orders in the chapter discussion. Yes. Okay, so we have, using the formula, calculate how long on average customers will wait in line before being served. So think about it. You have 40 customers a day. It takes 5 minutes to serve each customer. How much time is that? That's 200 minutes. How many minutes do you have customer service officers on board? You've got 1, 5 hours, 300 minutes. So you got 200 demand, supply 300, right? You have excess 100 minutes, right? Divided by 40 is 2.5 minutes, right? So is the average waiting time 2.5 minutes? Is the average waiting time 2.5 minutes? No, it's not. That's the only trick with the formula. All right? All right? We've got to do two things into the formula to work this out. Let's have a look. We've got 3 scenarios. The first one, average number of customers, 40. Time taken to serve a customer, 5, but you square it. Circle this. This is the first trick in the formula. You square. So therefore you get 25 times 40, you get 1,000. Okay, the denominator, average number of customers times time taken to serve a customer. 300 minus 200 minutes. I told you about that, right? You got 100 minutes excess capacity. You multiply that by 2. Okay, you multiply that by 2. And so in the end you get 5 minutes. All right? Right? So somehow you may think, that doesn't, look, I don't know everything about mathematics, but something like if you want to take an average of something, your assets go up over time. All right? So you take the beginning point, you take the end point, and half, and you've got half here. There's something like this while we actually multiplying this by 2, and then we are squaring the time taken to serve a customer. That's the only little trick you need to find in this formula. All right? 2 times here, and you're squaring that 5. Okay? All right? That's the trick. But I don't want you to get caught up with the formula. I want you to get caught up with the 1, 2, and 3. All right? If, then, else. If we want this, what do we have to do? If we want this, what do we have to do? You with me? All right? So let's have a look. Remember, then what do we have to do? You ready? If the branch expects to receive 50 customers and the time taken is 5 minutes, the average time that a customer will wait in line before being served is... So under this scenario, very quickly, that means this changes, right? Bless you. This changes. The time taken to serve the customer is 5 minutes. This does not change, right? So what you are calculating is what is the change here? You with me? Can you see that? Let's do that again, all right? Demand changes, your capability does not change. So the question is, how does the waiting time change? You with me? So that's this scenario here. Let's do the math. What have we got? Now it's 12.5 minutes. It's 12.5 minutes. Why? Because demand went up by 25%. You did not change capacity. The poor old customer service officer is still there, you know, and now suddenly they've got to work 25% harder. The bank's making more money, but they get the same salary. All right? How many of you want to work in a bank anyway? Hands up. Oh, many of you. Oh, that's great. Everyone's looking around. Who put their hand up? Who put their hand up? All right. Who wants to work in a bank? All right. Would you like to start as a customer service officer? Yeah, but maybe you have to start there. Oh, you mean investment bank. Oh, you want to work in one of those banks where you do little but you get paid a lot. Ah, understand. All right. Okay. All right. So here we go. Number 3, if the branch expects to serve 50 customers, the time taken is 4 minutes. The average time the customer will wait served is... Right. What is this if-then statement? Let's do this one now. Okay. Branch expects 50 customers per day. All right, so this changes. The time taken is 4 minutes. Oh, we change this now. You with me? This changes, this changes. So then the question is, what is the new waiting time? You with me? All right? The time taken is 4 minutes. How can we do that? We train the customer service officer. We replace the customer service officer. You with me? Or we fix up a bottleneck by automating some part of the operation, all right, using theory of constraints. We're going to come to that in the next example. So here we go. Again, 4 minutes. And so maybe we're strategizing now, what promise do we want to make to our customers in the next 6 months? Melody, so what's our demand for customers in our next 6 months? And then you say, they're going to go from 40 to 50 per day. Thank you very much. So I write that down. Okay. What are we doing with training? Anyone in charge of training? Yeah, we're training our customer service officers to do 4 minutes per customer now. Okay. So now we know that information. We know that information. Now we make a promise of 4 minutes, you see. So now then we can advertise. You come to our bank, you will not be kept waiting more than 4 minutes, or we give you your money back. No, that's all right. All right. We actually will give you a coupon or something like that. You with me here? All right. So you make promises, but in order to make a promise, you need to know demand, you need to know your capability of supply, then you make a promise. Let me repeat again. You need to know demand, you need to know your own capability of supply, then you can make a time promise. All right? The textbook doesn't make it clear like that, but I think this makes it easier to think through the logic. It's not about the formula, all right? I don't want you to take the formula home tonight. I want you to take home this logic of if we want this, then what do we have to do? We keep something constant, then we get this result. You with me? All right? Okay, step 2. Step 1 was, if we got this capacity, if we got this demand, then what is our time promise? Okay? Or, this is our time promise, this is the demand, what do we have to do for capacity? You with me? Okay? Or the other way around, this is our capacity, this is our time promise, and we'd better limit demand. Okay? You with me? So you might deliberately limit the number of customers that can come in. We stop at 40, we close the doors. You know? Okay? You need to have a ticket. Sorry, ticket machine ran out. You have to come back tomorrow to get a ticket. You know? All right, let's keep moving. All right, so we have 4 steps in managing bottleneck operations. What are we doing here? We're driving in time. We have customer, now operations, now we're going deeper in operations. All right, the first part was about trading off this symbiotic relationship between time promises, customer expectations, and your capability. But now we're digging deeper. We're diving deep, deep, deep into operations. How can we make operations more efficient? All right, so we break it down into activities. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, bang. Oh, there's our bottleneck. It's always slowing down everything. There it is there. There's the machine. How do we know that? You go into the production factory and you see all the inventory stacked up in front of that machine, because that machine cannot clear it as fast as all the other machines. That's how you find a bottleneck. Okay? Recognize this determines the throughput. Identify the bottleneck operation with large quantities of inventory waiting to be worked on. Keep the bottleneck operation busy. Subordinate all non-bottleneck operations to the bottleneck operation. Take actions to increase the efficiency and capacity of the bottleneck operation, which may include outsourcing part of that bottleneck operation. So the big question I have for you right now is, if we're going to do outsourcing, okay, outsourcing bottleneck, how do we know when to accept an outsourcing engagement? Like, at what cost? What's the cost basis to accept an outsourcing engagement on a bottleneck operation? That's what you're going to learn in the next example. Let me repeat. You have identified your bottleneck operation. Okay? There it is. That's that machine there. All right? So what are we going to do about it? Well, we do 1, 2, 3, 4, but this doesn't tell you everything. What you need to do is take actions to increase the efficiency and capacity of bottleneck operation. Well, we don't have time to get another machine. In the long term, yes, we'll get a machine, we'll double capacity. Bang. Then suddenly there'll be a bottleneck somewhere else. But in the short term, we don't have time. Customers, they're lining up. You know, demand's here. We've got to meet this demand. We've got to manage this better. What are we going to do? There's a bottleneck. That's what's slowing us down. And we can't speed up our operations until we fix that. How do we fix that? Let's outsource. So what is the information we need to facilitate, there's that facilitation, to facilitate the outsourcing decision? Let me repeat. You know you need to outsource in the short term because you can't get a machine in, all right? Machine investment, long term, blah, 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 all right? So what information do we need to facilitate our outsourcing choice? So let's go into this example, shall we? All right, these are methods. We can eliminate idle time, process only parts that increase throughput, shift products that do not have to be made. This is if you have multiple products and some going through bottleneck, some not going through, and other things like that. So you can start to do a PERT analysis, which is more like a systems diagram of physical movement of goods between machines in the organisation.